from one social media influencer telling you to buy a stock without having particular, SEBI registrations, or SEBI is always telling take advice from only registered people, right? This is for the retail investors.
This is something that happened really, the Harshad Mehta scam. So yes, as my second question is similar to what we discussed. When we were talking about the aura of that person and the success of that person. As you said, once there is a struggle, once there is a rise,
And there's a
and then
fall.
there is a
Yeah.
fall. During that fall, that is when the people remembers that
Yes.
person or for a very long time,
Yeah.
right? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is gonna be my first length video in YouTube. So we thought of discussing on a lot of things. A lot of things ran into my mind. But again, while scrolling on Instagram, YouTube, social media, there is this topic that is most of the times discussed or just treated in a very different way, which is the scam 1992, the Harshad Mehta scam. So we're gonna add a different perspective to that in today's discussion with Mr. Hemant. So I have Mr. Hemant who has about 15 years of experience. So before deep diving into this scam or the context what we're talking about, so I'll have Mr. Hemant introduce himself and a few insight about the market as well. So over to you, Hemant sir.
First of all, thank you, Rakshit, for having me here. And I follow your channel. The work that you're doing is very amazing. Like, you're teaching people about the basic stuff of finance. That is amazing work. I have been in the industry for last 15 years. In these 15 years, I have been through many losses, many profits, and the normal trader's journey, whatever they go through, I have been through that. And
Mhm.
today, in this one, along with the Harshad Mehta story, I'll be sharing what my journey taught me.
Okay, so you started off as a trader uh, during your initial journey.
See, basically, in the initial days, I was a trader, trading for myself, learning in my college days. And after the graduation, I joined broking firms as a RM and started to manage people's account. In that journey, I learned many that we make as a trader, we make many mistakes. And like by the time I had my own business, I tried improving these mistakes, and those paid off very well. So yeah, I started as a trader, became a advisor, and then now again I'm a trader. Majorly, I'm trading for myself and set of clients who are very disciplined and they sync with me.
So yeah, before jumping into the Harshad Mehta's this one or the scam 1992, the markets have evolved. If you see 15 years back, the markets were different. Of course, I was not into the market at that time, so it's been just 3 4 years or 4 5 years into the markets. But again, 15 years is a very larger pick. So every time we talk the Indian markets on a larger note, at 15 years, no one much believed in India's growth story in the terms of stock market or investing. But from now, people are talking about the growth story. So even at the time when there was no discussion about the growth story in the stock market, the markets have evolved and given better returns, right? So 15 years back, how the market was, and 15 years cut down to now, how the market is.
Before 15 years, the markets were, it would be nearly around 2010. So we were just evolving out of the Lehman Brothers crash,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were fallen from the top and we were at the bottoms. So people didn't have any confidence, and that was the first time people saw that kind of crash.
Mm-hmm.
At least for that decade, people didn't see any kind of crash. So for them, it was very much new, and they didn't know how to react. And you see, you have the money to inflow at the bottom levels when you have sold at the upper levels. But if you don't know how market is going to react, so you are going to be helpless over there. So that was the scenario. People were not having confidence in market. People were not ready to invest. But then, if you see by 2013, the market started to change. Definitely because of the change of government and the perception of the upcoming government, and so that led to a good momentum, and that momentum paid off very well, and that created a spark in the uh,
Mm-hmm.
existing investors to participate more. And by the time, if you talk about after COVID, after COVID, people have realized that stock market is the only thing that is going to get them rich. Although they have very wrong perception about stock market, but still that is creating a huge participation in the market. So like if you say about the market dynamics, I would say it is near to the 2006, like the way the participation was in the 2006 before the Lehman Brothers crash, it is equivalent to that now.
Okay, so yes, I would love to talk about the trading perspective, the investing perspective, but sticking on to today's conversation, the Harshad Mehta scam in 1992. The reason I wanted us to discuss this or to have this conversation is, so when I joined a broking firm, or when I was into this broking and all those things, I've met a lot of veterans, who's been in the markets for more than 30 years, 40 years. They're very old now, but every time I talk to them, how was it back then, in the 1980s, or the late 80s or the early 90s? How was it? How was the market? Because things were very different. The digitalization was not there. From that perspective, I asked the question. But there is somewhere I got goosebumps when they say, like, Rakshit, you're seeing the market from what, 5 6 years or 4 5 years, but I've been seeing the market from the Harshad Mehta's time. They don't use the terminology like I'm from late 80s or early 90s. They use the name Harshad Mehta. That is something, a major influence that a person can make, because it's been close to 20 years that Harshad Mehta is no more with us. But even now, after he's gone, and it's been such a long time after that incident happened in 92, that when the scam came out, when there was a lot of panic in the stock market, not just the stock market, in the economy. At that point of time, it was also the India's largest scams, financial scam, right? Even after that, it's been a so long time, but still people remember his influence. People who've been there, they've literally used the words like, Rakshit, you know about Arshad Mehta only through the scam series, or from the movies, or from YouTube, or from here and there. But I've seen Harshad Mehta, I've seen his aura in the exchange, how he was, how he influenced the complete market at that point of time. But when I look at a common man's perspective, like putting things together, putting the pieces together, for me as a common man, when I don't understand the financial terminologies or what exactly happened during that time, for me, what I can see as a common man is that there is this person who is from the lower middle class, who had nothing, who was struggling for his bread and butter, and then one fine day he becomes filthy rich, where he is the India's highest taxpayer. For me, it is a growth story. For me, it is like any movie you see, when a hero is at his lower point, and then there is this point where he gets everything, he makes super money, he has everything, he's very good in his life. So for me, it becomes an inspiring story. But once a person takes a deep dive into what actually happened, what are the things that made that things happen, so there's a lot of question marks that comes in, right? So what would you talk about the kind of influence that Harshad Mehta created? So if you can throw some light on that.
Basically, when you call a period with a person's name, when you refer a period with a person's name, that means he has a like extensive aura on that period. Like we cannot deny that it will be called Harshad Mehta period because the scam was so big, and it's not because of the scam. He was, he was the big bull, first big bull. We all know that Neil Armstrong was the first one to go to the moon, right? We don't know who was the second. We all remember the first incidents. So
Yeah.
Harshad Mehta was the first big bull.
Mhm.
Harshad Mehta was the first person who made these retailers believe that stock market can
Mhm.
make money from for them as well, and it's not only the game of the big players. And Harshad Mehta was the only first person to create a scam. You would remember the first scam in your industry, right? You won't look for the other. So that is why that period is called Harshad Mehta period, because that was the first time people came to know about stock market. People, those who were not invested, also came to know about the stock market because of the chaos that it created. And when we call about him becoming rich from the middle class family, it's not only that thing that attracts people. It's the story how his fall was started, or how his fall was. People like the story of struggle, then rise and fall of a hero.
Mhm.
If it was only a rise, people would not have talked about him. If you talk about
Yes.
Dhirubhai Ambani, he was a he was also a good businessman, but his story didn't see any fall. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't talk about it much. In case of Harshad Mehta, highest
Mm-hmm.
taxpayer
Yes.
of India, and then he was into a scam and he lost everything. So it's a rise and fall story. So people are interested in that. People want to watch a hero fall.
So yes, as my second question is similar to what we discussed. When we were talking about the aura of that person and the success of that person. As you said, once there is a struggle, once there is a rise,
And there's a
and then
fall.
there is a
Yeah.
fall. During that fall, that is when the people remembers that
Yes.
person for a very very long time,
Yeah.
right? So if you can tell, like there is this two perspective, two kind of people, who sees Harshad Mehta as the most successful person, and there is other set of people who has a different perspective that it is his scam that made him so successful. Because if the scam didn't come out,
Yeah.
Harshad Mehta wouldn't have been known for a lot of people. Maybe he would have gotten aged by now, or people would not even remember if the scam wouldn't come
Yeah.
out. That's a different question that at any given point of time that had to come out, because there was a lot of unnecessary moments in the market with a not fundamentally strong money coming into the market. It was not like fundamental, that was like a price rigging
Yeah.
or something like
Right.
that, right? So that's a different point, that any which way the scam has to come out. But would you say it is his success or the scandal that made Arshad Mehta to be remembered for so long?
Uh, we can say it has a different people can see it differently. Some would say that it was a scam which got him that popularity and that influence. That is true. But then those who have, like you told, some people who have been with Harshad Mehta or have seen him, they would know how influential he was without the scam also. Like he was a good storyteller. It takes let's take a
Mm-hmm.
perspective. To pull out this kind of scam, you have to convince many people to act against the law, right? Yeah, it
Correct,
takes
correct,
a
correct.
good storyteller to, if you are not that influential, you will not be able to convince these people to act against the law. So there we see that he was
Mm-hmm.
already influential, and even if this scam was not there, he would still be the
Mm-hmm.
big bull, because at that time nobody was in the
Mm-hmm.
stock market with that much amount of money. So having that money and investing and price rigging, all these set aside, still he was having his own money
Mm-hmm.
to an extension that he can create a lot of impact in the market, and he would have been the big bull of market anyhow. So that influence is in a both way. Like now we remember because of this scam, but people who
Mm-hmm.
are from that period, they would remember him not because of this scam, but because of his influence and the way he looked at the market.
While we talk about the aura and the personality, it is also said, I've read it somewhere, I'm not sure how true is it. I would love to hear it from you as well.
Mhm.
There were other brokers also doing the same thing. It was basically a financial loop the brokers had found, and then they were participating in the
Yeah.
market, right, using the same loop. So just like Harshad Mehta, I believe most of the brokers would have been followed at that point of time.
Yes.
But did the show off or the personality became the major reason the downfall of Harshad Mehta?
Yeah, we can say that, because you see, we can say Harshad Mehta would not be the only one who thought of these BR scams. Many people would have thought of that. Many
Mm-hmm.
people would have executed that. But the level the Harshad Mehta became the face of the stock market. Sorry, he was called the Amitabh Bachchan of BSE. With that kind of aura, when you get stuck into something, people are going to brag you down and everything is going to be
Mm-hmm.
blamed on you. So we can say Harshad Mehta was not the only one, but yeah, he was the only one who did it at that level, because you see the scam was around 4070 crores or something. uh, at that time it was a huge money,
Mm-hmm.
and so that kind of money will definitely create attraction, and you will be in the limelight,
Mm-hmm.
and the one who is in the limelight will be, later on, if he has anything wrong in his side, he's going to be taken down.
My next question comes with this same extension on how you concluded this one. uh, there were other scams also at that point of time which did come out, I believe, but nothing created this kind of chaos. But of course there is a point that this was in a bigger level, like as you said, more than 4,000 crores of rupees was
Yeah.
involved, and that was a very big amount.
Yes.
Even if you inflate it now, if you adjust to the inflation now, it would go somewhere around 20,000
More
crores,
than that. Yeah.
right? Or probably 22,000 crores, more than that,
Yes.
right? But apart from that point, what made that this scam so famous that people don't remember the other scams? There were other scams too. There were other brokers who would have exposed after this, or but people didn't care about it much. Even I don't remember
Yeah.
it. Being a recent participant in the market, when I read about the previous history, I do see, when I take a deep dive into the financial scams. At that point of time, I do see a lot of scams coming
Yeah.
out, but none of them made noise, or none of the stories were made into web series or movies. Eventually, if you see a perspective where the Harshad Mehta scam was commercialized into movies or
Yeah.
series, you see on Instagrams,
Yes. Yes.
YouTube,
Yes.
the dialogues, and all those things. So it was not done. It was not treated in a grandeur manner the way the scam 1992 was done, or the 1992 scam was treated. So why the other scams were not into such a big limelight? Even with not such a big limelight, I would say, I would put it this way, that I know the reason why it is not into limelight, such a big limelight, but at least people should remember the other scams too, right? So why it did not happen?
As we discussed earlier in the first question, he was not just a
Mm-hmm.
broker, he was a storyteller. He impacted people a lot. Like, after watching him, people started to invest. And his story is like a Bollywood movie. They are not making these
Mm-hmm.
series just because they want to make. His story is such. If
Mm-hmm.
if you take out the technicalities, it is still a good rags to riches kind of story. So you need that kind of
Yes.
stories to talk around, right? So, and as
Mm-hmm.
I told you, that was the first scam, and that was too extensive, like to an extent that it would create a lot of chaos, and that was the first chaos. You remember the first hit, you don't remember the others. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, Ketan Parekh
Yes.
happened, and many financial scams happened. If you leave the stock market, there are many others, be it Malia or anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
all these we forget
Mm-hmm.
very soon, because now we have social media. We tend to forget these things very soon, our generation. But at that time, there was only newspaper,
Mm-hmm.
and any small chaos would have created big impact, and that big impact would stay with people for a long time.
Okay. So now I also want to know, what if Harshad Mehta was not caught? What if the scam didn't come into the limelight? Of course, if you go into the technicals part, any which ways that money that was induced into the stock market, which has created a manipulative growth, or a growth that you cannot fundamentally define, those kind of growth, any which ways it had to come out. That's from the technicals perspective. But when we see it as a commercial, or once a common man sees, there is always a question, like, if Harshad Mehta was not caught, if the scam was not come out, today he would have been celebrated as a celebrity, which even now he is, even after its death in the stock market. But what if you can add some light, where if the scam wouldn't come out, where would the Indian markets be now? What would people treat Harshad Mehta as?
Our audience understand this one. We have to go through this. People think that he was caught, and if he didn't if he wouldn't have got caught, he would, like, continue to operate. That doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
You are borrowing money from some source, and you are infusing it in the stock
Mm-hmm.
market. Your prices are rising, but then that the money that you
Mm-hmm.
borrowed is due at one point of time, right? You have to pay back.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have to pay back, you have two options. You can borrow from some other source and give it to them,
Mm-hmm.
or you have to just sell your stocks and give it to them. So when you bought, the stock
Mm-hmm.
prices rose like anything, right? So when you sell,
Mm-hmm.
the crash is bound to come, right? That is,
Mm-hmm.
this phenomena is called
Mm-hmm.
pump and dump. Usually that happens in
Yes.
today's
Yes.
market as well. You would have seen in Instagram, People give random shares
Mm-hmm.
recommendations and very penny stocks kind of stuff, and those are pumped, like money is pumped into those shares, and those are taken to
Correct.
a level like 10 rupees stock would go to 100, and then suddenly it will see a fall where retail people would not get an exit. So this is a trap. So
Mm-hmm.
this kind of trap, even if it doesn't, even if Harshad Mehta doesn't want to create such a trap,
Mm-hmm.
this trap would be created for retail people, because when he sells, somebody has to buy, right? There has to be a buyer. Those who are buying at a higher level will see a
Mm-hmm.
huge crash,
Correct, correct,
and
correct,
then
correct.
people might need to take their lives the way they did in 1992 scams as well. So
Mm-hmm.
this scam, even if this was not a scam, still that crash has to come, and that crash would have
Mm-hmm.
created another scam then. So what you learn from this story is that whenever in the
Mm-hmm.
stock market, people, like in this kind of scenario where social media is taking over everything, uh, you cannot stop that chaos. You will be
Mm-hmm.
hearing about some stock which is going to be 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, 100 times. So you cannot unheard that. But what you have to do is you have to look for fundamentals, as you mentioned. You have to get the clarity whether these claims are going to be true or that is just a false claim. So then you just look for the fundamental, and those who don't justify their valuation with the fundamentals, just don't enter into those stocks, because he did
Mm-hmm.
very few stocks at that time. Now it has been
Mm-hmm.
happening in most of the penny stocks that you see. If you go to
Mm-hmm.
the any trading charting platform and look for penny
Mm-hmm.
stocks, they are rising. They don't have any fundamentals, and when they get plunged, retail people don't
Mm-hmm.
even get an exit. You cannot sell it. So at that time,
Mm-hmm.
you just see a stock from going from 10 to 100, then you enter at 100, and
Mm-hmm.
then again it's at 5 or 6. So you are ultimately losing.
Mm-hmm.
So in this game, you have nothing. You just have to have your idea clear in what you are investing and why you are investing. Nobody, and let me give you in one sentence. In social
Mm-hmm.
media, why
Mm-hmm.
would somebody give you any stock that is going to rise and it will tell you for free? Sorry, he will tell you for free.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he do that?
Correct. Yes, yes.
You tell me, if you have any particular information that some stock is going to become 100 from 10, you would use it for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or very close people, close friends or family. Why would you comment on social
Mm-hmm.
media and brag about it? That is a trap.
Yeah, this one key point I would take with me. And again, as you said, in KGF, how Rocky is, or how Pushpa, how Allu Arjun has done. At the end, we should also see the Harshad Mehta. If you're idolizing him, it should just be limited to a movie. Because if
Yeah,
I watch KGF, or if I watch Pushpa, I
Pushpa,
cannot come out and then again start smuggling, right? I can just
definitely.
enjoy the way they have played the role, the aura, the dialogue delivery. Although it's just basically a theatrical experience that you just enjoy it, you just have it, you just come out and enjoy the story, like how you enjoyed KGF story,
Yes.
or how you enjoyed Rocky Bhai. You did glorify Rocky Bhai as an audience.
Yeah,
Even we all glorified Rocky Bhai, but it doesn't
definitely.
mean that I go start a mining and then start a gold this one. So
Start
we
smuggling the
should
gold.
also limit. So you just limit yourself into it's just a story, and the similar way you should also treat the Harshad Mehta story.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is something that happened really, the Harshad Mehta scam. So you take a few key points with it, but you should not do what Harshad Mehta was doing. Trying to find a wicked way of making money from the stock market, right?
So the point here is that if you want to become like Rocky Bhai from KGF, you won't find any gold fields, and it's not that easy. You would die trying. If you want to become Pushpa, you would not find that red sandal to smuggle. But if you want to do wicked things in stock market, there are n number of ways you can do it, and
Mm-hmm.
people are doing it. From one social media
Yes.
influencer telling you to buy a stock without having particular SEBI registrations, or SEBI is always telling, take advice from only registered people, right? This is for the retail
Correct,
investors.
correct, correct.
But we as
Yes, yes, yes.
people are so stubborn. We are not following that one thing, that
Mm-hmm.
okay, we will take any if we want to take any advice, we will take from those who are having the authority. Like tomorrow, if you have cancer, I don't want you to have cancer,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have cancer, will you go to a doctor or a compounder or somebody from your native place who is claiming that he's a doctor, but he's not having MBBS, or he's not uh, having any qualification? You would
Mm-hmm.
not go to him, right? You would go to a particular doctor who is
No.
having the qualification, for whom government says that he is the person who can treat you, right?
Yes, yes,
Same
yes.
is the thing with stock market. When you are infusing your money in any stock or any mutual fund or anything
Mm-hmm.
for that matter, you want somebody to guide you who is, uh, you know, uh, what do you call that? Who is having that authority, right? Any
Mm-hmm.
Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot recommend you things. And if they are
Correct.
such a great kind of advisors, why they're not making their money? Like I watch Forbes list of rich people, and I don't see these people
Mm-hmm.
with colored monitors showing 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh daily income in that list. And why, if they're
Yes,
able
yes,
to
yes.
earn 5 to 10% in a day, I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
people claim for to be making double the money in a day or half an hour or something like that. If they have such a system,
Mm-hmm.
why would Mukesh Ambani would do such a complicated business? He can also sell everything and do this now.
Correct, 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 correct.
People don't
Yes, of
understand
course.
this.
So yeah, there's again a lot of things to discuss. While we were talking about the Telgi scam,
Yeah,
we also mentioned about the Ketan Parekh scam, and we also talked about the current influencers who are recommending stocks who are not SEBI authorized. How SEBI is taking so much of steps to ensure that retailers don't lose money, and yet retailers end up losing money. As I said, there's a lot of things to discuss on.
yeah,
So, unfortunately, we had to limit this conversation just to the Harshad Mehta scam.
yeah,
Of course, we're gonna connect back again, and we're gonna discuss a lot of things about trading, investing, the scams in the stock market, and a lot of informative things and insights about the markets. So, Hemant sir, thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you so much for
thank you,
making up.
Rakshit.
And this conversation was so long due. We were planning to make it from
Yeah,
so long,
I know that.
but fortunately, we found this time today. So thank you so much. We're gonna connect back again, guys. So please make sure you subscribe the channel and you hit the bell icon so that every time we upload a video, you get a notification of it. And yes, that's it for today. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Hemant sir.
Thank you, Rakshit.
Bye bye.
Yeah.